Hello, my name is Tim and I have ALS, which is fucking lame.
My name is Lauren Price and I'm Tim's primary daytime nurse.
My first impression of Lorton was, who is this meathead and why is he telling all these terrible jokes? I was a little worried. I mean, this was a guy that I would be spending 40 hours a week with, not to mention the guy who would be scrubbing my balls. But beyond his military demeanor lies not only one of the most caring people I have met, but also one of the best nurses around. We quickly formed a sort of odd couple sort of bond. I know sometimes he gets a bit annoyed with my micromanaging.
The hardest thing about working with Tim was when we butt heads. Tim likes to make sure that he tells me how he wants things done, and I try to use the experience that I have and how to do things, and we try to come to a compromise.
But he really makes an effort to put himself in my shoes.
Sometimes at night when I'll lay back in my bed and put my arms out and try to lay like Tim does and try to stay in that position for as long as I can, just to kind of get an idea what that's like. It's the only way I can imagine what it must be like to be Tim all day.
I know people in the medical profession are supposed to keep an emotional distance from their clients, but he is invested in my care in a way that shows that he is not a paycheck nurse. He is a true friend, which is not something you expect from a home care nurse.
This is a completely different story. I knew from the beginning when I started taking care of Tim that this was going to be a life-changing thing. We have a morning routine that we follow where I start an albuterol treatment on him. Albuterol is a medicine that when you inhale it, it helps open up your lungs, helps you breathe better, and we put that in line in his circuit. It goes right into his trach. Then we do the CPT vest, and that's percussion. It's a vest that wraps around his chest, and it connects to hoses, and it puts air into it and shakes his chest, and that helps loosen up the phlegm. And then we do what's called a coughilator, and it's a tube that attaches directly to his trach. When you turn that on, it helps simulate a cough. So that helps get all that phlegm out, all those things that you loosened up with the CPT vest. And then we do suction, and we get all that stuff out, go down in his trach and manually get those things out. For a while, he was able to swallow. That unfortunately ended about 2 weeks ago or so. So he doesn't take in his own food. Everything he gets, he relies on for us. All of his medicines, when I first started working with Tim, I could give him an entire cup full of pills and he'd swallow them all at once. And then we started doing half at a time. And now, well, then one pill at a time, and now we're having to crush everything and put it through his tube with his food. He is on a diet of Isosource. It's a 1.5 calorie liquid that we pour in through his G-tube. It goes right into his stomach, and that helps keep his skin intact. It gives him his nutrients. It keeps his bowels moving. When you swallow food, the smooth muscles in your intestines help push that food along, help get it to where it exits. So those muscles get lost also. Well, we've got to get Tim up in the Hoyer lift in order to move him over to the bedside commode. So that's a big process. There's a sling that goes behind him, and you pull the straps in between and pull them tight and make sure his hands are on his lap so that you're not pinching anything when you lift him up in the Hoyer. And then positioning him, moving him over to the side of the bed and getting him over to the bedside commode is a challenge. Sometimes it takes 10 or 15 minutes. Whenever I can't understand what it is he's trying to say, I have to uncuff his trach. When I uncuff his trach, then he gets lots of oral secretions, then I have to suction those out, and then he has to gargle up some more, and you suction those out, and then he's finally able to say what it is you couldn't understand. I spend a lot of times in the morning trying to help learn to read his lips and such so that I can speak for him when he's not able. The ALS types that I learned about in nursing school weren't associated with pain, and even the folks at the pain clinic have trouble understanding where his source of pain is coming from. His pains, when I first started taking care of Tim, seemed to be in his feet and his legs. And then it seemed to be in his arms and hands, and then it seemed to be in his shoulders, and it just kind of moves around. Even laying in the bed with his fingertips, or his fingers curled, and his fingertips will start to hurt, so I've got to help, keep those flat. Recently, he's been having pain in his feet, and he says he feels like his feet are pressing hard against the footboard of the bed, and they're not touching it at all. Yeah, I've got to do range of motion on him several times a day, and that just kind of helps keep his joints limber, helps keep him from having so much pain. So there's just lots of things you have to think about when you move someone around who can't move themselves or can't tell you when you have them in a bad position.
All of my friends and family love him. I'd like to think I'm one of his more memorable clients.
I'd like to thank the Often Awesome Army. They've been helpful in a lot of ways. Picking up prescriptions, bringing mail, helping me turn Tim, bringing balloons over, having parties, keeping his spirits up. He's got this awesome army of people to help him, and he feels obligated to hold on as long as he can, and I hope he does. I'm there to help him do that.
Lots of things keep me going. My wife, my friends and family, and the realization that we are actually getting somewhere with the awareness campaign.
Tim's a pioneer. Tim's doing his best to raise awareness. The more aware people are of the disease of ALS, the more studies they do on it, the more likely they are to find a cure.
Some days, though, it's hard to keep it together. I can't lie. As much as I love life, mortality is always staring me in the face. I just try to live day to day. It is all I can do.
Well, I'll die trying. I'll never give up. Even when the odds are down, when no one gives a fuck. And even when pigs are flying, hell is frozen up. Well, I'll die trying. I'll never give up. And I know it's hard to love someone whose head is in the stars. But don't give up. Hold on soon. Until I've kept my promise and have given you the moon, I will die trying. I'll never